His father was a court musician, one of the great ones. Amjad Ali Khan, artist of the Sarod, inherits his father's talent and with it the role of Ustad, a master of music. Father and son come from a musical tradition many centuries old. The way of teaching music in this tradition has changed very little. The daily practice, the repetitions, work within a group, all are basic in the continuity of Indian classical music. For the student, his teacher is literally master.
What will you play?
The ones you taught me.
How many?
Well, and a few more also. I think about 10 altogether.
10? And those are? Play that.
Some more also.
Is from San Francisco. For 2 years, she studied piano in Amsterdam. Now, as a newcomer to the sitar, she follows a very different pattern of practice.
Each time once.
With the master every day, students at every level of skill practice in turn. The whole group is involved with each student's practice. First steps are reviewed and the higher levels of achievement are displayed. Each one fits the pattern. Each person is growing in skill and reaching forward. Young people from middle-class families turn to the study of classical music. This is no light program. First come the technical skills, imitating, repeating, learning control of the instrument, like the sarod. Much later, the understanding of the mood and content of classical music will follow. From a small village have been sent here by their religious community. In India's system of philosophy, playing serious music is itself a form of devotion, a religious act. The young man who brings back a skill in music will help his community to worship God in a fitting way. Works by example and repetition. As control of the instrument increases, the student begins to discover the many riches and possibilities within the classical raga form. He masters new refinements and elaborations one by one. Each new level of performance brings him closer to a mental and spiritual grasp of the music. In time, technique becomes assured, and he begins an unending exploration into the core of meaning and emotion locked within each raga form. From his modern bungalow in New Delhi, Amjad goes into the old walled city. Every day, he alternates between modern and traditional. His world of music is based on patterns and practices that come from past generations. But his travels, his outlook, his ideas are contemporary.
I started at the age of 5, and though my father is very orthodox in his way of life, he wanted me to study, go to school, and I should lead a normal life, and also keep practicing very hard.
Among the timber yards and the artisan districts of Old Delhi, Amjad comes to see his supplier and maker of musical instruments. In this old-style establishment, from rows of pumpkins dried against the ceiling are made the traditional instruments of India's classical music. Up to now, no mass production. Selected woods are seasoned and carved. Pumpkins are dried and polished. Metal and ivory are inlaid. The methods are as old as the music. Every instrument has its own distinctive voice, its own burnished and unique identity. Nearby, the great mosque of Delhi looms above the old city, a witness to the scale and splendor of the Mughal Empire 3 centuries ago. Amjad is a Muslim, a young man who believes devoutly. He comes to the mosque for weekly prayers on a quiet day, rather than Friday, when 20,000 people may crowd the spacious courtyard. A different mood at Connaught Circus, with shoppers, students, tourists, journalists, the hub of the modern city. In the park, surrounded by the buzz of traffic, Amjad meets his friends for coffee or sherbet or drinks. At the railway station, he departs for the city of Gwalior to play a concert. As a first-ranked musician, Amjad travels all over India during the concert season, October until May. At Gwalior in central India, he returns to the places of his boyhood. This familiar ground is the shrine of the famous poet and singer, Tansen, one of the great giants of Indian music from the time of the Mughal emperors. Amid these shrines and memories, Amjad renews his own strong link with the musical tradition in which he grew. For him, the past is no abstract study. The names and songs and talents of the great legendary musicians are part of his living, the tradition that he himself now teaches. The Mansingh Palace of Gwalior, on the crown of a high bluff above the city. With his musicians, he explores again the labyrinth of this unconquered fortress. Gwalior, a former princely state, where Amjad's father was court musician to the Maharaja. For the young Maharaja of Gwalior today, a long tradition of family rule has ended. No longer head of a state, now he's a private citizen, administrator, landowner. No longer does the palace sponsor a circle of courtiers or a circle of musicians. In the Palace Museum is the record of that musical life that flourished in princely courts. In the past, it was the princes and priests, the courts and temples, who who sponsored and enjoyed the classical music of India. Now, public concerts, recordings, and the media carry the music to a much wider audience.
In old days, the aristocrated class and Maharajas and the courts, the people who were rich, they could only afford to hear the great artist, and they used to patronize musicians. But today, a lot of people, they regard and respect art and artists, and they want to hear more and more.
The great hall of Gwalior Palace, ready for an evening concert as in earlier times. Now there's less ceremony, less formality. The guests are local officials, visitors, friends of the palace.
When I was little boy, I used to go with my father in the palace of Gwalior Maharaja. And my father used to play, and I also started playing. My father used to respect like a god to Maharaja, because my forefathers, they were all court musicians in the Gwalior state.
Mirrored in this glittering hall are memories of many concerts in many palaces of India. With each performance, the master of classical music, through his discipline and dedication, rediscovers the mood and beauty of a chosen raga. This will happen tonight, the same as when an emperor and his queen and court listened to music by moonlight beside the river 300 years ago.
grace of God, today I'm very satisfied that I am fulfilling my duty, and I believe that if I have the blessings of my parents, I will be something which I will never know myself. It's very important for a young person to do something in his life. I mean, he should just lead a very normal life and be affectionate and try to become a good human being. So that these things will react on his life. He can become a great person, great human being. That is, I think, is most important than to become a very great artist.